You're watching 2 News Oklahoma today.
And good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for waking up with 2. I'm Justin Fisher alongside the always wonderful meteorologist Michael Sager. First of all, before we get into all the craziness that's going to be going on outside, how are you doing this morning?
Doing all right this morning.
You're tracking a lot, man.
Yeah, busy morning trying to get this forecast together. Very tricky forecast for us as well, but it does look like some winter weather is on the way.
I know. Finally, or maybe finally again. I want to know how similar it is to last time. Let's get a look at that first forecast.
Now, a winter weather alert.
Let's take a look at it. We've already got a few sprinkles out there this morning, maybe even a snowflake or 2 out of some of this. But what we've got here is not very heavy, just drifting off to the north and to the east. The main system is still way back here to our west and southwest, but we'll be moving in as we go throughout the day today. And a lot of us are going to start out as rain initially, and then the question is how quickly do we transition to snow? Because of how fast that happens, that will really determine how much snow you get in your area. Here's what it looks like right now. This is from downtown Tulsa. You can see things are all quiet here on the Wade's RV Weather Camera Network. Not dealing with any issues out there this morning as you are heading out the door, nor do we anticipate any problems for the morning drive. You can see our temperatures, though, have dropped off to or even below freezing in some spots. We've got some high level to mid-level clouds filtering through. 38 degrees right now in McAllister. But we do have winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings in effect. The winter storm warning areas are where we expect to see some of the heavier snowfall accumulations, especially south of I-44. Lighter accumulations where we have winter weather advisories, and that includes those who are basically to the north and west of I-44. But again, initially we're going to start out as rain this morning. We'll eventually change over to snow. We're going to break down the timing of all of that, how much snow you might see where you live, and when all this will be moving on out, coming up in just about 15 minutes.
All right, Michael, thank you. And with much of northeast Oklahoma in that path that Michael was just talking about, many local and state authorities are hoping for the best while advising everyone to prepare for the worst, right? 2 News Oklahoma's Samson Tamajani picks up our team coverage with how cities and citizens are gearing up.
I think you just got to be. I think you just have to be flexible.
Green country and its roads and utilities we rely on could turn into ice country. That's according to Chief Meteorologist Mike Collier. He says that wintry precipitation could fall during the afternoon rush hours. That forecast has city leaders urging caution.
If you're going to be out at work tomorrow morning, just know that that's something you're going to have to prepare for potentially on your drive home. So if you do see our guys out, and whether that's guys in big trucks or if they're applying salt or whatever they may be doing tomorrow afternoon, just stay back, give some distance, and definitely give yourself a little bit of extra time to go home.
That's why Trooper Eric Foster from Oklahoma Highway Patrol warns that when you get going in winter weather,
slow down, create more following distances, things like that, because really the issue is being able to bring your vehicle to a safe stop no matter what's happening in the roadway. Make sure that you at least have preparations in your car. Now, I get it. You don't want to drive around in 15 layers, and be uncomfortable, but at least have those available so that if your car does become immobile or cannot run, you can stay warm.
That's advice commuters like Donna Gavin are listening to.
If I was at work today or at work tomorrow, we all discuss our distance. And so we just pray for the best. A lot of people travel way away, but unfortunately I have a good traveling schedule, so I think I'll be okay.
City officials in Bixby told us off camera that public works trucks are ready to drop salt on important roads beginning Tuesday morning. But some Bixby commuters won't be taking chances.
Just wanted to get gas before tomorrow so I can guarantee that I can do remote start when it's cold and possibly snowing tomorrow afternoon. We just stay home and try to stay warm and safe, and all my kids are just hoping that Superintendent Miller goes ahead and calls a snow day early.
That was Samson Tamajani reporting. We'll have team coverage all day, and you can follow along on air right here on 2, online or with the free 2 News app. Just search 2 News Oklahoma in your app store. It is 4:34 right now, and developing in Project Safe Schools, Jenks Public Schools will have classes as normal today. That is after district police determined a threat made by a student to be not credible. I want to specify not credible here. Parents at Jenks Public Schools reached out to us after an automated call from the district. So we immediately reached out to the district, confirming a Jenks East Intermediate student sent out a photo of a gun to a group chat along with a threatening message. Rob Lober says that the district has a zero-tolerance policy for threats, and students who make them will be disciplined according to district policy, even if that threat is not credible. Going on to say the district takes all threats very seriously. He also confirmed that the student who made the threat will not be at school. The little Tulsa candy shop has been targeted again with 3 burglaries in less than 3 months. The latest on Saturday. Tracy Ogg owns Yum Eats and Sweets off of 81st and Harvard. Told 2 News the crime is taking a toll on her small business.
We absorb all the cost. I mean, the insurance company pays for part of it, but there's still deductibles and stuff that they don't pay for. And the loss of business from when we do have to close to clean up like today, and I don't know, it's just pretty hopeless feeling.
Lieutenant Tim Means with the Tulsa Police Department burglary unit says detectives believe it is the same suspect in all 3 burglaries, and this suspect may be responsible for similar crimes around town. TPD says if you know anything that might help them, call Crime Stoppers. It is National News Literacy Week. Every year, 2 News and our parent company, EW Scripps, work to cut through the noise. So this morning, we're bringing you behind the curtain. Scripps CEO Adam Simpson discusses transparency and why it's so important for us to be as transparent as possible with you, our viewers.
There should be no secrets, right? I mean, we're all about shining light, and we shouldn't be excused from that demand. So from my perspective, why we choose the stories that we choose, how we make the decisions to cover certain topics, what language we use, all of those things should be subject to conversation. And I think we can rebuild trust when we're more transparent in that relationship with our consumers.
Yeah, you can't have a lighthouse logo and try to keep things close to the vest.
Doesn't work. Doesn't work.
And from TikTok and Facebook to newspapers and TV, we're looking at where you find your news and helping you find credible sources during News Literacy Week. You can find those stories on air and on KJRH.com. Happening today here in Tulsa, Discovery Lab will celebrate its 1-year anniversary at its new location at 31st and Riverside. The museum will be giving away a free birthday party package for the 2023 year. That is valued at $450. Discovery Lab has been around since 2007. It was initially known for being a museum without walls at its first location in Owen Park. Now it's got its own world-class facility at the Gathering Place, now serving more than 300,000 visitors every single year. Now to a story you'll see only on 2 News. You may remember that meteor that shot across the Oklahoma sky last week. Multiple, as you see there, surveillance videos captured the breathtaking moments. 2 News Oklahoma's Jenks Quesada spent Monday in Muskogee with meteor hunters and shows us their historic discoveries.
This here is the newest visitor to Earth. It is the Muskogee meteorite.
This surveillance video captured the phenomenon as a fireball flew through Oklahoma's sky last Friday morning. Since then, Roberto Vargas and a group of meteor enthusiasts have spent days searching for fragments of that meteor.
The Doppler radar said there should be rocks here. We're here hunting. We're finding rocks.
Today, I joined them on their search. Vargas is among the few who have found a piece of Thursday's meteor.
And I looked down and I couldn't believe it. And I just bent over and picked it up, and sure enough, it was a meteorite.
His buddy Pat found one this morning too. At first glance, this may appear like a normal rock, but these meteorite hunters say this meteorite was floating out in space just 4 days ago. Mike Hankey with the American Meteor Society says only 1,300 meteorites have been recovered in the history of mankind. He says it's the story hidden inside the rocks that sets them apart.
When you crack a meteorite open, you look at it inside, it's like literally going back to the very origins of our solar system. A lot of them will be broken off a little bit, that you can see the inside, which will be a gray cement color. A magnet will stick to them.
Vargas says based on the video evidence and radar information they've collected, before it broke apart in the atmosphere, they believe the meteor could have ranged in size from a basketball to a grocery shopping cart.
It's the only aspect of astronomy that you can hold in your hand, that you can put under a microscope or study in a lab, and that tells us, like, what are these planets made out of.
Arnold says it's possible there could be hundreds of meteorites in Muskogee and the surrounding area. That's why they will continue their search. In Muskogee, Jenks Quesada, 2 News Oklahoma.
Fun time out there looking around. The Golden Hurricane football team have filled the last position on the 2023 coaching staff. Find out what former Dallas Cowboy got the job in today's Morning Sports.
Now, 2 News Oklahoma Sports.
Hey, for the first time in more than a decade, ORU basketball receives a vote in the AP Top 25. Golden Eagles are 8-0 in Summit League play, 14-1 in their last 15 overall, and with that vote, they would be number 42 in the country if you extend the poll. Playing good ball. And OSU guard Avery Anderson was named the Big 12 Player of the Week yesterday. Anderson averaging 16 points and 5 assists as he led the Cowboys' second-half comebacks against both OU and Iowa State. Cowboys now 3-4 in Big 12 play, visiting number 10 Texas in a big one tonight. And welcome into sports, everybody. Good morning to you. Kevin Wilson has his crew. According to multiple reports, former North Carolina All-American Ryan Switzer is going to coach receivers for the Golden Hurricane, and that means TU's staff is complete. Switzer, drafted by the Dallas Cowboys back in 2017, spent 5 seasons bouncing around the NFL. Now, ready to begin his coaching career. Wilson telling The Athletic's Bruce Feldman, the 28-year-old Switzer brings a presence, work ethic, and attention to detail that is special and similar to Ohio State's Brian Hartline, who recently was elevated offensive coordinator with the Buckeyes. He's a rising star in this profession. So here is Wilson's staff. On offense, coordinator and quarterbacks coach Steve Spurrier Jr. That's a good name. Ryan Stanchek to coach the offensive line. Adrian Mays running backs. Greg Fry tight ends. Switzer receivers. On defense, your coordinator and safeties coach Matt Guerreri. Ron Burton as the D-line. Coy McFarland linebackers. Michael Hunter cornerbacks. Those two both started at OSU. Ricky Brown, special teams coordinator. After a spectacular career for the Bixby Spartans, Cale Fugate is heading to Norman. District Defensive Player of the Year with 66 tackles and 5 interceptions. Fugate also a very productive receiver, 680 yards, 12 touchdowns for the Spartans. Fugate joining the Sooners as a preferred walk-on. His Bixby teammate Jacob Snyder also heading to OU as a PWO. For the 27th straight time, the NFL's Conference Championship weekend will go on without those Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott throwing 2 interceptions, the Dallas offense managing just 1 touchdown, and the Cowboys fall to the 49ers 19-12. The final play, how comical was that? Had never seen it before. Galaxy brain stuff here. Shocked that did not work. Immediately after the game, Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy, big mad, walking off the field for no apparent reason, giving a shove to the NBC5 camera. Jerry Jones asked after the game, any chance McCarthy does not return as head coach?
No, not at all. But this is very sickening to not win tonight.
Sickening, he says. All right, meanwhile, the Final Four is set. Joe Burrow and the Bengals visiting Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. How good is that matchup? 2 best quarterbacks in the league. Mahomes hoping that sprained ankle heals quickly. And former Sooner Jalen Hurts and the Eagles hosting San Francisco in the NFC title game. We've got a couple of good ones coming on Sunday. That's it for sports. Hope you have a great day, everybody. Send it back to you.
Okay, thank you very much. There is mounting criticism regarding President Joe Biden's handling of classified documents. Some Democrats call the situation embarrassing, while Republicans are ramping up their demands for answers. Bree Jackson is in Washington. Bree.
The White House counsel's office says it is reviewing requests from GOP lawmakers and will accommodate, quote, legitimate oversight interest. Criticism regarding President Biden's handling of classified documents intensifying after investigators found 6 more items Friday during an unprecedented but requested FBI search of the sitting president's private residence.
It is a real problem that these documents are somewhere they shouldn't be.
This is not going to go away for Joe Biden.
NBC News reporters are among those raising questions.
Are there any other searches that are being planned? Or any other locations?
Look, we're not going to get ahead of the Department of Justice in their investigatory process.
Sensitive government material has been found on 5 dates since November.
We need to have some sunlight here on what exactly the president has been hoarding and why.
One special counsel is now investigating Mr. Biden's handling of classified documents, while another has been examining those seized from former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. Some lawmakers say it's time for the investigations to end.
I don't think that most Americans, again, most fair-minded Americans, want to see the President of the United States or the former President of the United States prosecuted for having classified documents.
Attorney General Merrick Garland is defending both special counsel probes, saying the Justice Department does not have different rules for Republicans and Democrats. And House Republicans are also seeking information from the Secret Service on the identities of individuals who have visited the Biden home in Delaware. The Secret Service says it is reviewing the request, but has also said in the past that it does not maintain visitor logs for president's personal residence. In Washington, I'm Bree Jackson for 2 News Oklahoma.
Bree, thank you so much. Today, scientists will reveal how close we are to Armageddon. Well, for decades, the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists announced how close it believes the world is to collapse. That could be because of nuclear war, climate change, most recently the pandemic. Today's doomsday clock announcement will be the first since Russia invaded Ukraine. Scientists do believe the war could move the clock closer to doomsday.
Now,
all right, 4:49. We are weather alert right now. Let's get to meteorologist Michael Sager for more on that. Hey, Michael.
Yeah, we've got weather moving in. And when I say weather, we're talking about snow eventually, although it will likely start out as rain this morning into early afternoon before we see that changeover to snow. And those that see the changeover first will likely see the higher snowfall totals. And I think that'll probably line up somewhere south of I-44 the way it's looking right now. But a tricky snow forecast because as it snows, it's very possible that temperatures actually stay above freezing. We have warm ground temperatures as well. So we're going to see it snowing at a pretty good clip. But how much actually collects on the ground is a bit tricky. But I do think that we will see several inches in some spots. Travel problems as it snows, but because of the warm road temperatures, after the snow winds down, I think the road conditions will improve greatly. And I really don't think we're going to have any major problems for the morning drive tomorrow. I think we'll have a lot of wet roads and maybe a few slushy spots, but I think the roads will really have time to improve by the time we get into tomorrow morning. But as the snow does move in, it'll be snowing at such a rate that it'll add up faster than it can melt. So I do think that we'll have some snow-covered and slushy roads as the snow does come down. But it's not doing that right now. We are all quiet as you're stepping outside here. You can see on the Wade's RV Weather Camera Network, not dealing with any issues right now. Our temperature's at 30 degrees in Tulsa with a mostly cloudy sky. But let's break it down. Again, quiet now, but the rain starts to move in as we go through the morning and midday time frame. And then that rain eventually will change over to snow as we go into the afternoon. Now, this particular model trying to keep most of it rain, but I do think we'll start to see some change over to snow, especially across southern portions of the region, maybe into the Tulsa metro by late afternoon at earliest, but by evening we see that change over to snow start to take place, and then everything starts to move out as we go into tomorrow morning. Temperatures tomorrow will be chilly, holding probably into the 30s to near 40 degrees, and still a lot of clouds wrapping around. As far as snowfall amounts are concerned, I think this zone here south of I-44, 3 to 6 inches of snow, higher amounts into northwest Arkansas and into the higher terrain here, higher mountaintops into southeast Oklahoma. And you can see Tulsa metro, we're going to go about 2 to 4 inches, and then lighter amounts as you go farther to the north and to the west. So as the snow comes down, we'll probably have some snow-covered roads and some slick spots, but with the warm ground temperatures, I don't anticipate this being a long-term problem. I think we'll be better by tomorrow morning and definitely by tomorrow afternoon. 50s at the end of the week, maybe another chance for some light wintry weather into Sunday morning.
All right, Michael, much appreciated. Dollar stores are now the fastest growing food retailer in rural America. We're going to take a closer look at the chain's rise to the top. The time is 4:55. Looking at some stories impacting your wallet right now, the Federal Trade Commission is ordering Credit Karma to pay $3 million back to customers who, quote, wasted time applying for credit cards. It comes after the company was accused of misleading customers by telling them they were pre-approved for credit cards. The FTC says in many instances those customers did not qualify. Commissioners were united in their determination to order the company to pay, saying those applications could have harmed those individuals' credit scores. Americans are getting a big share of their groceries at dollar stores. Researchers from Tufts University analyzed how Americans used dollar stores to access food from 2008 to 2020. They found America's lowest income earners have become increasingly dependent on dollar stores, making them the fastest growing food retailers in the country. The growth doubled in rural areas over the past decade. We are just getting started here on 2 News Oklahoma today. Coming up, according to Jenks Public Schools, a student sent a photo to several other students and texted a threat against the school. In our next hour, we take an in-depth look at that developing story.
A live look outside. Things are fairly quiet right now, but we've got winter weather moving in. When we'll see that change to snow coming up in just a few moments.
You're watching 2 News Oklahoma today.
Well, good morning. Thank you so much for waking up with 2. I'm Justin Fisher. We have team coverage of the winter storm heading toward Green Country. Corey Duke also following a developing news story live from Jenks this morning for us. But first, we do got to get right to weather. We are weather alerts for the chance of what we are going to see just a little bit later. Michael.
And we are going to be checking out that winter storm warning that is in effect as we go into today and basically through tomorrow morning. But we are waking up quiet right now. Winter storm warnings basically in effect along and south of I-44. We've got winter weather advisories for those of you to the north and to the west of there, far southern Oklahoma under winter weather advisories. But it's in this winter storm warning is where we'll probably have the higher odds of seeing some of the higher snowfall totals. At the moment, just a few sprinkles out there, maybe a sleet pellet or two with temperatures near or just below freezing. But a lot of what we're seeing here is having a difficult time reaching the ground. Main area precipitation still well out to our west and southwest into southwest Oklahoma and into western portions of Texas. So as expected, we figured we'd wake up pretty quiet this morning, and we certainly are. Downtown camera looking good here on the Wade's RV Weather Camera Network. So again, heading out this morning, no major problems. We're at 29 degrees in Tulsa. Temperatures above freezing as you go farther to the south. 36 degrees in McAllister. Now, as we head through the day today, we will notice rain moving in first as we go through the late morning to midday time frame. That may try to mix with a little snow, but I don't expect a lot of major problems in the metro yet as we go into the afternoon. Notice that temperature above freezing, so probably not a whole lot of snowfall accumulation just yet through mid-afternoon. But as we go through late afternoon and especially by this evening, that's when we'll start to see more of that changeover to snow and the better chance of accumulating snow moving on in. We'll break down, though, the timing of all that, how much we may see across Green Country, and what we can expect through the rest of the week in just about another 15 minutes.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. Taking a live look from Tulsa International Airport right now. No cancellations or delays, but we will keep an eye on the big board there as the day does go on. Meanwhile, agencies all across the state are working to make sure roads are safe for those who need to get out today. 2 News Oklahoma's Amanda Slee spoke with the city of Tulsa about what they are keeping a close eye on. Hey, Amanda.
Good morning, Justin. As Michael Sager discussed, much of northeastern Oklahoma is under a winter weather warning. So with the forecast of rain and snow, the city of Tulsa is monitoring the timeline of today's weather event.
Just that transition time between rain and snow, and then of course the temperatures. That's going to regulate a lot, kind of what actually stays on the ground. Oftentimes it accumulates on the bridges and overpasses and the grassy surfaces first.
Carson Colvin with the city of Tulsa says those spots will be where their crews address first, as they can cause major issues if not. Since this event isn't going to impact the morning commute, it's important drivers understand that they will have a much different condition going home from work than they did driving in. In the next half hour, Oklahoma Highway Patrol is offering advice to drivers who have to go out in the afternoon and evening in the possibly messy commute. Amanda Slee, 2 News Oklahoma.
All right, Amanda, thank you very much. We will have team coverage all day. You can follow along on air, online, or with the free 2 News app. Just search 2 News Oklahoma in whatever app store you use. It is 5:03 and news developing right now in Project Safe Schools. Classes will go on as scheduled at Jenks East Intermediate today after the district's police department determined a threat made by a student to be not credible. Corey Duke is live outside the school this morning. Corey.
Yeah, Justin, good morning. You know, parents here in the Jenks district, they reached out to us Monday night. This was after they received an automated call from the district. So we immediately went and asked district officials what was going on. And a spokesperson confirmed a Jenks East Intermediate student did send a photo of a gun to a group chat. This was along with a threatening message. So they went on to say, quote, the threat was quickly determined to not be credible by the JPS Police Department. The student does not have access to guns in the home. adding the district says it has a zero tolerance policy for threats, and students who make them will be disciplined according to district policy, even if the threat is not credible. Now, I do want to mention that the student who did make that threat will not be in school today, but understandably so. Parents who did receive that call a little on edge this morning. Justin.
All right, Corey, thank you very much. We'll be following that story. Well, happening today, Volunteers of America is celebrating 30 years of service for Oklahomans with an open house this evening. VOA works to provide housing and services to those that are in need of some help, including veterans, seniors, and those that are disabled or experiencing homelessness. The open house will be a chance to celebrate everyone involved in the VOA mission, from donors to staff to the people it's helped.
We are going to be celebrating not only these amazing people who are able to turn their lives around with a little bit of assistance from us, but we're also going to be celebrating those incredible caregivers.
The event is this afternoon from 3 to 6 on the northwest corner of 61st and Mingo. Greater access to health care begins in Broken Arrow today as Ascension St. John Broken Arrow anticipates its first patient to the new ICU floor. The grand opening and blessing of the unit was on Monday morning. It is an $8 million investment estimated to serve 1,500 patients a year. Matthew Adams, the president of the hospital, showed 2 News anchor Corey Duke around the new unit and told her the need to increase access to the area was great, especially as the city of Broken Arrow is growing.
Unfortunately, with COVID, it kind of shined an even brighter light on it, saying, hey, you know, there is a lack of ICU beds. It's not a good thing that a pandemic had to kind of, you know, drive that point home, but it really did say, hey, this is the right thing, you know, for us to do, not only for this community in Broken Arrow, but for people that are trying to find beds that are coming from other smaller towns in Oklahoma.
Adams says this was a strategic move for the hospital with the added units in BA, as well as 18 more beds being added in Owasso within the next 2 weeks. The new floor consists of 4 ICU beds, 14 progressive care beds, and gives immediate level care to patients in the region who otherwise would be transferred to other locations. The unit also adds 40 new jobs, and the hospital hopes to increase that to 50 in the future. It's 5:06. Remember that meteor that shot across the Oklahoma sky early Friday morning? Well, multiple surveillance videos capturing the breathtaking sight. Well, 2 News met up with meteor hunters searching for meteorites. They traveled across the country looking for fragments of meteors, and when they heard about the one here, they headed to Muskogee and they found at least 2. Experts say the discoveries are historic and just beautiful.
When you crack a meteorite open, you look at it inside, it's like literally going back to the very origins of our solar system. A lot of them will be broken off a little bit that you can see the inside, which will be a gray cement color. A magnet will stick to them.
He also says it's possible there could be hundreds of meteorites in Muskogee and the surrounding area. 2 News learning that Safari Joe's H2O water park has been sold. It's under new ownership. Working to gather more information this morning. Expect to know more about the future plans for the site sometime this afternoon. Of course, we'll get that to you just as soon as it is into our newsroom. 5:07, getting to California, where astounding surveillance video has been released from the Monterey Park shooting. It shows a man risking his life and disarming the shooter. 26-year-old Brandon Say has been celebrated as a hero for disarming the shooter at a dance hall. That's the video you're looking at. It is surveillance video obtained by NBC. Say wrestling the gun away and potentially saving lives at a second dance hall just minutes after the suspect killed 11 people and wounded at least 9 more at the first site. Well, you can see him fighting with them there. It appears to be this empty lobby inside the dance hall. A shoving match starts. Say manages to take that gun away from the suspect, and the entire thing lasted about 4 minutes but saved multiple lives.
And let's get a look at traffic this morning as you are heading out. So far, everything's running nice and smooth, and we really don't anticipate any problems weather-wise for us, so that is certainly some good news. Looking here down along Highway 169, everything running well there, too. Let's take a look at those travel times. Owasso to downtown, about 14 minutes. Claremore to downtown, 28 minutes. Glenpool to downtown, right about 16 minutes.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. The Golden Hurricane football team filled the last position on the 2023 coaching staff. Find out what former Dallas Cowboy got the job in today's morning sports. And one type of physical activity protects the brain more than others. We take a look at what researchers are saying will improve your cognitive ability in today's health headlines.
And a live look outside. Everything is looking good so far, but we've got rain and eventually snow moving in. How much snow You could see where you live in just about another 5 minutes.
Now, 2 News Oklahoma Sports.
Hey, for the first time in more than a decade, ORU basketball receives a vote in the AP Top 25. Golden Eagles are 8-0 in Summit League play, 14-1 in their last 15 overall, and with that vote, they would be number 42 in the country if you extend the poll. Playing good ball. And OSU guard Avery Anderson was named the Big 12 Player of the Week yesterday. Anderson averaging 16 points and 5 assists as he led the Cowboys' second-half comebacks against both OU and Iowa State. Cowboys now 3-4 in Big 12 play, visiting number 10 Texas in a big one tonight. And welcome into sports, everybody. Good morning to you. Kevin Wilson has his crew. According to multiple reports, former North Carolina All-American Ryan Switzer is going to coach receivers for the Golden Hurricane, and that means TU's staff is complete. Switzer, drafted by the Dallas Cowboys back in 2017, spent 5 seasons bouncing around the NFL. Now, ready to begin his coaching career. Wilson telling The Athletic's Bruce Feldman, the 28-year-old Switzer brings a presence, work ethic, and attention to detail that is special and similar to Ohio State's Brian Hartline, who recently was elevated offensive coordinator with the Buckeyes. He's a rising star in this profession. So here is Wilson's staff. On offense, coordinator and quarterbacks coach Steve Spurrier Jr. That's a good name. Ryan Stanchek to coach the offensive line. Adrian Mays running backs. Greg Fry tight ends. Switzer receivers. On defense, your coordinator and safeties coach Matt Guerreri. Ron Burton as the D-line. Coy McFarland linebackers. Michael Hunter cornerbacks. Those two both started at OSU. Ricky Brown, special teams coordinator. After a spectacular career for the Bixby Spartans, Cale Fugate is heading to Norman. District Defensive Player of the Year with 66 tackles and 5 interceptions. Fugate also a very productive receiver, 680 yards, 12 touchdowns for the Spartans. Fugate joining the Sooners as a preferred walk-on. His Bixby teammate Jacob Snyder also heading to OU as a PWO. For the 27th straight time, the NFL's Conference Championship weekend will go on without those Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott throwing 2 interceptions, the Dallas offense managing just 1 touchdown, and the Cowboys fall to the 49ers 19-12. The final play, how comical was that? Had never seen it before. Galaxy brain stuff here. Shocked that did not work. Immediately after the game, Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy, big mad, walking off the field for no apparent reason, giving a shove to the NBC5 camera. Jerry Jones asked after the game, any chance McCarthy does not return as head coach?
No, not at all. But this is very sickening to not win tonight.
Sickening, he says. All right, meanwhile, the Final Four is set. Joe Burrow and the Bengals visiting Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. How good is that matchup? 2 best quarterbacks in the league. Mahomes hoping that sprained ankle heals quickly. And former Sooner Jalen Hurts and the Eagles hosting San Francisco in the NFC title game. We've got a couple of good ones coming on Sunday. That's it for sports. Hope you have a great day, everybody. Send it back to you.
All right, Ken, thank you very much. Welcome back. It is 5:15, and in your health headlines, the FDA wants to simplify how Americans stay up to date on COVID boosters. A new strategy would make the process similar to getting yearly flu shots. That means assessing what COVID strands are circulating in June and then preparing a dose for the fall. The FDA's Vaccines Advisory Committee is set to meet Thursday to discuss the plan. Even in small amounts, vigorous activity can do a whole lot for your cognitive health. That's according to a new study published Monday in the Journal of Epidemiology and Community Health. That research shows spending as little as 6 to 9 minutes being active improved cognition scores compared to those who just spent that time sitting or sleeping. Both of those sound pretty good sometimes, though. The researchers say or saw the biggest impact on executive processes, such as planning and organizing. Women with dense breast tissue are up to 4 times more likely to get breast cancer. Dense breasts are normal and found in about half of women undergoing mammograms. However, the extra granular and fibrous tissue can make tumors more difficult to see on mammograms. Researchers surveyed just under 2,000 women. They found that about 93% of women did not view having dense breasts as a significant risk factor for getting breast cancer. Currently, 38 states mandate that women receive written notification after mammography about their breast density and its potential breast cancer risk. All right, it's now 5:16. Today, scientists will reveal how close we are to Armageddon. For decades, the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists has announced how close it believes the world is due to collapse, or how close it is to collapsing. That is because of possible war, nuclear war, climate change, and most recently the pandemic. Today's doomsday clock announcement will be the first since Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Scientists believe the war could move the clock closer to doomsday. Well, while they are focusing on that, we are focusing on the winter weather alert. We have meteorologist Michael Sager. What's going on, my friend?
We've got rain and eventually snow that will be moving into green country as we head through the day today. Waking up this morning, though, no problems at all, but anticipate some rain to move in by the time you're heading out to lunch. So this, again, will start as rain. As we go through the afternoon, we start to see a little bit more snow mixing in, may at times even go back and forth between snow and rain. Notice those temperatures staying above freezing, and then continuing into the evening hours, eventually it goes over to all snow. Right now for the drive home, I don't anticipate any major problems in the metro, but areas that do go to all snow by late afternoon and evening, those roads may start to get a bit snow covered and slushy as the system does begin to move in. Exactly when we see that transition is somewhat tricky because those temperatures are going to be staying above freezing. Here's what it looks like right now from Grand Lake and Shangri-La Resort. A lot of clouds out there, but nothing that's going to be, again, of any issue as you are heading out this morning. Let's get a look here at dual Doppler. And you can see a few echoes showing up here. A lot of this not reaching the ground. The main system is still out here to our south and to our west, but you can start to see some of the rain moving here now approaching Oklahoma City. And then you got the snow as you get into western Oklahoma out into the Texas Panhandle. So that's our system, and it's going to track its way right across us as we go throughout the day. So starting out as rain by later this morning through midday, we may start to see that mix with snow farther to the west by late morning and midday. And then as we continue through the afternoon, changing to all snow here across southern portions of the region. Rain snow mix farther to the north, and again it might change the snow at times, go back to rain at times, or maybe just get that mixture. And then continuing through the evening hours, it eventually goes over to all snow and then moves out as we head into very early tomorrow morning. Where we see some of those heavier snow bands line up, I think probably south of I-44 in this zone here from Okmulgee to Muskogee to Tahlequah, maybe a 3 to 6 inch snowfall locally. If you get underneath one of those heavy bands, we may have a few higher amounts possible, and then that snow will taper off to the north and west as far as the amounts are concerned, about 1 to 3 inches north and west. Thinking 2 to 4 inches across the metro, but there may be a pretty sharp gradient here south of I-44 where you get into some of those higher amounts farther to the south of I-44. As far as road conditions are concerned, as the snow comes down, the road conditions will likely become snow covered and slushy, but with the warm road temperatures, don't anticipate any major problems even into tomorrow morning after it moves out. Temperatures will be in the 50s as we finish out the week and open up the weekend. Perhaps a small chance for some light wintry weather on Sunday morning. Let's get a look at traffic this morning as you are heading out the door, and let's zoom in just a little bit closer here. Get a look at the Broken Arrow Expressway. No problems at all as you are heading into work this morning as mentioned. But again, the drive home, things could be a little wet where we see rain, but maybe even getting a little slushy in some spots where that snow transitions a little sooner this afternoon. Broken Arrow to downtown right now, 13 minutes. Sand Springs to downtown, 6 minutes. Okmulgee to downtown, 41 minutes.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. The 95th Oscar nominations are scheduled to be announced today, and we are going to take a glance at what movies and performances are the favorites to pull a nomination this year. Plus, a locally owned Tulsa business targeted again in a series of burglaries. We speak with the owner about how they are coping with the third break-in within 3 months.
Next up, I typed in how to return, and it said a package to Amazon, cable equipment to Spectrum, Prince Harry to England.
You can watch The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon weeknights at 10:30 only on 2 News. Meanwhile, NBC's revival of Night Court got off to a strong start last week. The network's highest ratings for a comedy launch in 5 years, and a new episode airs tonight. That's followed by the second season premiere of the comedy American Auto. The gang at Payne Motors faced with a corporate challenge surrounding a recall of one of its vehicles, and they bring in a crisis manager played by Eric Stonestreet to assist.
This is a group that's coming together to handle very overt crisis, and so where we were hinting around the periphery of it and heading towards it last season, we are in the flames as we open season 2. So it's pretty funny to see how people crack under pressure in our little ensemble.
American Auto airs tonight right after Night Court. But nominations will be announced this morning for Hollywood's biggest night. Some of the movies expected to receive Oscar nominations are The Fabelmans, Top Gun Maverick, Avatar, and Everything Everywhere All at Once. Austin Butler is expected to receive an acting nomination for starring in Elvis, and Brendan Fraser is expected to receive a nomination for The Whale. The Oscars, held Sunday, March 12th, Jimmy Kimmel will return to host the show for the third time. We have some remarkable scenes from outer space captured by the Webb telescope almost every single day, but we're going to take a look at NASA's newly released Clear Images in today's Top 5 at 5. And the Discovery Lab is celebrating its 1-year anniversary at its new location on Riverside. What's to come during the celebration and what visitors can expect.
We've got temperatures that are below freezing right now. No precipitation to worry about as you're heading out the door at the moment, but when we'll see rain changing over to snow in just about another 3 minutes.
Tracking the storm this morning on 2 News Oklahoma Today, we're tracking a winter storm that could drop heavy snow on parts of Green Country.
And that snow moving in from the west is going to start out as rain this morning, when we'll see that change over to snow as the day goes on.
And from when the heaviest amounts will fall to the mess it can make of our roads and bridges.
Slow down, create more following distances, things like that, because really the issue is being able to bring your vehicle to a safe stop no matter what's happening in the roadway.
We have team coverage on what you need to know to be prepared, not scared.
We're also live in Jenks this morning covering developing news. Parents at Jenks Public Schools are asking for answers.
Jenks Public Schools confirming a Jenks East Intermediate student sent a picture of a photo with a gun to a group chat and also a threatening message. Coming up, I'll explain the quick action taken by the district's police department, how police got involved, and what school will look like here today. 2 News Oklahoma Today starts now.
You're watching 2 News Oklahoma Today.
And good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for waking up with 2. I'm Justin Fisher alongside meteorologist Michael Sagan. We do got to kind of start with that elephant in the room. We are talking about that winter alert day because of the potential for a whole lot of snow and rain. What's going on?
Yeah, we've got this system still moving in from the west. We're already seeing snow now out in western Oklahoma, into the Texas Panhandle as well. But it's going to start as rain this morning, but eventually we are going to see that change over to
keep
snow.
your eye on the roads, on the sky as well. What's going on?
Let's take a look at it again. Stepping outside right now, things are quiet as you are heading outdoors, so you don't have to worry about anything for the morning drive. No problems at all. Great view here from Brookside, looking back toward downtown Tulsa. And you can see we are getting some echoes to show up here on dual Doppler. A lot of this on the leading edge is having a tough time reaching the ground. It's still falling into some dry air. But with time, as the lower levels of the atmosphere have a chance to get a bit more moisture, a lot of this precipitation will start to make it to the ground. And as it does so, it's eventually going to start out as rain, or at least that's what it's going to start out as first, and then eventually change over to snow this afternoon and this evening. But we've got temperatures that are below freezing right now. 29 Tulsa, 23 Bartlesville, 28 degrees in Pryor, where the clouds are starting to thicken up a little bit. That's where temperatures are near or even above freezing. As we head into the midday time frame, I do think that we will have rain by lunchtime and mostly rain through the afternoon for Tulsa, but some snow is going to mix in from time to time, and especially by late afternoon and early evening, we start to see more snow mixing in and eventually a changeover to all snow. So depending on how quick that changeover occurs for the drive home, some of us may already start to deal with some slushy driving conditions, and there'll be others of us that'll just be dealing with wet conditions, but eventually it goes to all snow by later this evening, and we'll break down how much may fall coming up in just about another 15 minutes.
All right, on that note, we do have team coverage this morning to help you be prepared, not scared. We have a live look right now at 51 and Sheridan. And while roads are looking good at the moment, local and state agencies telling 2 News they have crews on standby. 2 News Oklahoma's Amanda Slee joining us in the studio. And Amanda, when that rain does change over to snow, things could get messy quickly.
That's right, Justin. Green Country roads could turn into a slushy mess by this evening. Agencies like Oklahoma Highway Patrol and the city of Tulsa and Bixby say they have crews on standby ready to take the trucks out to treat roads. However, even with salt spreaders and snow plows treating the roads, drivers need to follow these precautions.
Slow down, create more following distances, things like that, because really the issue is being able to bring your vehicle to a safe stop
no matter what's happening in the roadway.
Trooper Eric Foster with Oklahoma Highway Patrol urges you have ways to keep warm in your car if your car does become immobile or you can't run it to stay warm. Also, if you come upon a salt truck or snowplow driving, officials ask that you stay back and treat them like emergency vehicles. As for specific road treatment plans, the city of Tulsa says that will be finalized this morning before any weather moves in. Amanda Slee, 2 News Oklahoma.
All right, Amanda, thank you very much. Glad to see them getting prepared for that. We also have news developing right now in Project Safe Schools. Classes will go on as scheduled at Jenks East Intermediate today after the district's police department determined a threat made by a student to be not credible. Corey Duke is live outside the school this morning. Corey.
Yeah, good morning, Justin. As you mentioned, yes, that threat is not credible, but parents understandably on edge after they reached out to us saying that they had received an automated call from the district. So we immediately reached out to school officials, and then a spokesperson did confirm to us that a Jenks East Intermediate student did send a photo of a gun to a group chat. That was along with a threatening message. Now, they went on to say, quote, the threat was quickly determined to not be credible by the JPS Police Department. The student does not have access to guns in the home. Adding, the district says it has a zero tolerance policy for threats, and students who make them will be disciplined according to district policy, even if that threat is not credible. Now, the student who did make that threat will not be in school today. I did look up the school board's policy, their handbook, about anyone who makes kind of threats with a weapon of such, and whether it is credible or not, that student will undergo punishment by staying home in that stance. And we looked more into it as well, and police will immediately notify the school, principal will be notified, police will be notified, and then they will go look to see if that threat is credible. But like I mentioned, Justin, parents will be very concerned about that. I'll send it back to you.
All right, Corey, thank you very much. It is 5:35 right now. A Tulsa candy shop has been targeted again. 3 burglaries in less than 3 months. The latest was on Saturday. Tracy Ogg owns Yum Eats and Sweets off 81st and Harvard and told 2 News this crime really is taking a toll on her small business.
We absorb all the cost. I mean, the insurance company pays for part of it, but there's still deductibles and stuff that they don't pay for. And the loss of business from when we do have to close to clean up like today, and I don't know, it's just pretty hopeless feeling.
Lieutenant Tim Means with the Tulsa Police Department's burglary unit says detectives believe it is the same suspect in all 3 burglaries, and this suspect may be responsible for similar crimes around town. Deputy says if you know anything that might help, call Crime Stoppers. It is National News Literacy Week. Every year, 2 News and our parent company, EW Scripps, work to cut through the noise. So this morning, we're bringing you behind the curtain. Scripps CEO Adam Simpson discusses transparency and why it is so important for us to be as transparent as possible with you, our viewers.
There should be no secrets, right? I mean, we're all about shining light, and we shouldn't be excused from that demand. So from my perspective, why we choose the stories that we choose, how we make the decisions to cover certain topics, where what language we use, all of those things should be subject to conversation. And I think we can rebuild trust when we're more transparent in that relationship with our consumers.
Yeah, you can't have a lighthouse logo and try to keep things close to the vest.
Doesn't work. Doesn't work.
From TikTok and Facebook to newspapers and TV, we are looking at where you find your news and helping you find credible sources during News Literacy Week. You can find those stories on air and on KJRH.com. Happening today here in Tulsa, Discovery Lab will celebrate its 1-year anniversary at its new location at 31st and Riverside. The museum will be giving away a free birthday party package for the 2023 year that is valued at $450. Discovery Lab has been around since 2007, initially known for being a museum without walls at its first location in Owen Park. Now it's got its own world-class facility, a gathering place. It now serves over 300,000 visitors a year.
And let's go ahead and get a look at those travel times this morning. Everything's been running nice and smooth so far. We're at 13 minutes right now. Broken Arrow from Lynn Lane to downtown. Sand Springs to downtown, 6 minutes. 41 minutes Okmulgee to downtown. Let's get a look here right along Highway 169. Not dealing with any issues as you are heading out the door. Additional travel times. Walton to downtown, 14 minutes. Claremore to downtown, 27 minutes. Glenpool to downtown, right about 16 minutes.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. Deep in the center of the Earth is the inner core, and a new study implies some things are changing. We take a look at what this new research suggests. Another amazing image from the James Webb Space Telescope to share the stunning pictures in today's Top 5 at 5.
Temperatures this morning are running below freezing right now in the metro, but of course all the focus is on the potential snow and how much may fall across green country in about 5 more minutes. Good morning, everybody. It is 5:41. We are winter weather alert because of all that is behind you right now, Michael. I mean, there's a lot going on, a lot we're looking forward to or looking at, I suppose, depending on how you look at it. Yeah, depending on where you live, you're either under a winter weather advisory or a winter storm warning. Basically, I-44 and southward, we've got winter storm warnings. Everywhere else, we've got winter weather advisories that are in effect. And all thanks to a storm system that will be moving in and dropping some snow across the region later today and through tonight. But it will start as rain. So we're going to see that transition from rain to snow as we head through the day today. And there is our storm system. You can see the snow here, western Oklahoma, as you head out into the Texas panhandle. The rain now moving here into southern Oklahoma, and the leading edge of this struggling to reach the ground. So it's going to be dry as you're heading out for the morning drive this morning. We don't have any problems, but the rain probably moving in by the time we head out at lunchtime. Now, as far as the snow is concerned, it is a very tricky temperature forecast, and therefore a very tricky snowfall forecast. We're going to see temperatures maybe even above freezing for some of us through the entire event. So some of us may not even get down to freezing, but still get snow out of this. Travel problems as it snows, because the snow will probably be coming down at a rate that it will accumulate faster than it can melt. But once the snow comes to an end, I think road conditions and travel conditions will improve quickly. But as the snow comes down, we'll probably have some travel issues because it'll be snowing so heavy that the roads just won't be able to keep up with the melting, because it'll be snowing at such a rate it just accumulates too fast. But right now, things are good as you're heading out the door on the Wade's RV Weather Camera Network. We've got some great views here from Grand Lake to downtown. 29 degrees right now in Tulsa. Not much wind out there. That wind will start to pick up out of the north and east at 5 to 15 miles per hour as the system does move in. But as mentioned, starting out as rain as we go through late morning and midday, and then we'll start to see that transition to some snow mixing in, if not even going to all snow, from mid to late afternoon in parts of green country. The highest chance of going to all snow by late afternoon will probably be along or south of I-44. And then everybody eventually goes to all snow this evening and into tonight. And then everything moves on out by the time we're out the door tomorrow morning. And with temperatures above freezing tomorrow morning and the warm ground temperatures, I don't anticipate a lot of major problems for the morning drive tomorrow either, because a lot of the snow will have an opportunity to melt, especially on the roads. And then we're in the upper 40 or upper 30s to near 40 tomorrow afternoon. Snowfall amounts, thinking at 3 to 6 inch swath, probably somewhere south of I-44. 2 to 4 inches I-44 and northward. In fact, a pretty sharp drop off to 1 to 3 inches as you go across northwestern portions of green country. Could have some locally higher amounts, especially in some of the higher terrain to the south and to the east. May see another chance for a light wintry mix Sunday morning, but overall looking pretty good with temperatures in the 50s Friday and into Saturday. Let's get a look at traffic this morning as you are heading out the door. Things are running smooth. We'll zoom in a little closer here to downtown and around to IDL. Not dealing with any issues here. Let's look at those travel times. And again, from Skytook to downtown, 20 minutes. Sapulpa to downtown, 16 minutes. Tulsa Hills to downtown, 8 minutes.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. Time for our top 5 at 5 a.m., starting with number 5. And we're talking about the James Webb Space Telescope has a new image to share, and it is stunning. You're looking inside a molecular cloud, located 630 light years away. They are interstellar groupings of gas and dust where hydrogen and carbon monoxide molecules can form dense clumps within those clouds, collapse or can, to form young stars called protostars. And every image we see from the James Webb is beautiful, and I love showing them because it doesn't matter how many times you look at the universe, it's always going to be stunning, because even just an inch to the left for that telescope is a completely different galaxy sometimes. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I've been putting it off for a long time. I want to invest in a telescope just to
you have
view
your
this night sky. Oh,
you have your
then you do it.
weather station back there. You got to add a telescope too.
Yeah,
Man.
exactly. All right, number 4, Chinese researchers believe the Earth's inner core may have reversed its rotation. The researchers analyzed seismic waves created by earthquakes, as they passed through the planet along similar paths since the 1960s. They found that the inner core's rotation stopped between 2009 and 2020 and may have reversed direction. A reversal generally takes place every 7 decades.
All right, I'm glad you had that last sentence because at first I was like, whoa, why? What does that mean? All right, number 3 now. Tuesday is National Peanut Butter Day. It falls every January 24th. That's according to National Day Calendar. The early Incas and Aztecs created the first peanut butter, but it was more like a paste, not as creamy, smooth that you might experience today. Maybe you like more of the crunchy and paste-like peanut butter. I don't know. Other cultures considered peanuts animal feed until the late 1800s, though. Thanks to several inventions, modern peanut butter went public in 1904 at the Universal Exposition in St. Louis. Not to brag, but St. Louis, bringing about that peanut butter. We like it. I can't buy peanut butter anymore because when I have it in my shelf, I eat the entire jar within like 2 days. And if you know peanut butter, it's great, right? It can be healthy for you, but it's very caloric, and you'll be like, you can't eat for like a week after that. So I've banned myself from buying it. But go enjoy peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
I may do that. I've got some peanut butter at home. I may take part in that. All right, number 2. Some 20 millions worth of looted antiques are back in Italy. Wow. Thanks to the work of New York City's Antiques Trafficking Unit, many of these ancient artifacts were trafficked and ended up in a collection of American billionaire Michael Steinhardt, who has been banned for life from acquiring antiques by the New York City District Attorney. Wow. Among them, a fresco stolen from Herculaneum near Pompeii, and a bronze bust of a man dating back to around, say, 1st century CE or late BC.
I can't believe you are so accused of and found that you are doing things like this. You're banned from buying antiques. That's incredible that all these are coming from that and being returned where they belong. All right, finally, number 1, a Maryland girl has made what some experts call a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. A shark tooth, 15 million years old. A low tide, perfect conditions led to that very rare discovery. Look at that size of her hand. Experts at the Calvert Marine Museum in Solomon's Island confirm that she found a megalodon shark tooth dating back to millions of years. Her father actually did pass down the hobby of wading the waters looking for fossils. Molly says that she wants to be a paleontologist when she grows up. I imagine that's kind of similar of wanting to do that, searching for shark teeth or megalodon teeth, to looking for meteors in Oklahoma. That's incredible to find that tooth millions of years old and then finding meteors too. And I feel like it's just all coming together right now.
Yeah, it really is. And
really cool.
Talk about those meteors too. I mean, just think about just days ago, they were
for however long,
just floating around in space, and they ended up in Muskogee, Oklahoma.
They said it was only like less than 2,000 that have been found.
Which I had no idea.
I didn't either.
Crazy.
That's incredible.
Wow.
And a lot of them, hundreds potentially, are here in Oklahoma. All right, we're going to get a glimpse into why the immigration debate is only going to get worse or more tense. Joe St. George answers some of our more pressing questions. And at the top of the 6 o'clock hour, Corey Duke joining us live from Jenks. She's working on a developing story of a threat made by a student from Jenks East Intermediate. We'll have that for you coming up. Good morning, welcome back. We are taking a live look at Washington right now. This morning, Republicans in the House are having some difficulty getting a bill involving border security to pass the House of Representatives. So joining us this morning from Washington, Joe St. George. Joe, there appears to be a whole lot of debate over how to handle migrants once they are here. So what are the two sides disagreeing over? And could there potentially be a compromise? And what would it look like?
Yeah, good morning. I think when Republicans across the country campaigned last election in an effort to flip the House of Representatives, a big promise was to pass border security, change policies at the border. But thus far, they've been unable to come together and put a bill on the table that can pass the House of Representatives. I think this shows a couple things. One, passing anything out of the House with such a slim margin for Speaker Kevin McCarthy is difficult. And it also shows there is some disagreement within the Republican caucus about how to deal with this issue. I think we can put on screen the key differences here. The super conservative members of the House caucus, they would like to see a very aggressive approach to dealing with the migrants. They would like to compel the Secretary of Homeland Security, other government officials to basically shut down the border, not welcome any migrants. More moderates in the Republican caucus are concerned that that is an inhumane approach, doesn't necessarily deal with, address legitimate asylum-seeking individuals from countries where there is real risk of political persecution and in some cases imprisonment or death. So that's what has been the holdup here on Capitol Hill that's prevented a bill from reaching the floor thus far. But remember, it's early January. Republicans have plenty of time to figure this thing out. I think the bigger question for people at home is, can a bill get out of the House that can be used as a starting point to negotiate with Democrats and try to get something that actually becomes a law? Just passing something out of the House isn't going to do anything to change the situation at the southern border, but maybe it can be a jumping point for Democrats and Republicans to sit in a room and do something to address what has been a record number of migrants at the southern border in recent months.
Yeah, and Joe, I mean, as you mentioned, that slim margin and how difficult this is it kind of this particular topic that we're going to have a lot of problems with in passing out of the House with that slim margin for Kevin McCarthy, or is it kind of show what the future looks like?
Everything is going to be difficult, and that's why there's so many people paying attention to this looming debt ceiling crisis that some are saying could emerge in our country later this year. Remember, we've already reached the debt limit as a country. The Treasury Department is deploying extraordinary measures so we don't default between now and the end of May, sometime in June. The exact date isn't known, but Democrats and Republicans are going to have to figure out some strategy, pass something out of the House, pass something out of the Senate, get it to President Biden, or the U.S. could default for the first time in American history. We'll be watching that story throughout the spring.
All right, Joe St. George, thank you very much for joining us on this Tuesday morning. All right, it's 5:55 right now. We're getting started right here on 2 News Oklahoma Today. Coming up, according to Jenks Public Schools, a student sent a photo to several other students and texted a threat against the school. In our next hour, we take an in-depth look at this developing story.
Temperatures are running about below freezing or so. We'll say 29 degrees in Tulsa, but we've got some snow that will be moving in later on today. We'll break down the timing of it in just about another 3 minutes.
You're watching 2 News Oklahoma Today.
I'm Justin Fisher. We have team coverage on the winter storm heading toward Green Country, and Corey Duke is following developing news live from Jenks. We'll get to her in just a moment, but first we do got to get right to that weather forecast with meteorologist Michael Sager. Michael, what's going on?
We've got a winter storm warning in effect for parts of Green Country and winter weather advisories in effect for parts of Green Country, depending on where you live. Basically, I-44 southward is where we have winter storm warnings in effect. You go north, including Pawnee County, Osage County, Washington County, and those of you here in southeastern Kansas, Chautauqua County, Montgomery County, and Labette County, that's where we have winter weather advisories in effect. We do think we'll see lighter snowfall amounts to the north and west, and the heavier amounts somewhere into this winter storm warning zone, depending on where some of those heavier bands set up later today and into tonight. Right now, things are fairly quiet. You can see a lot of echoes showing up here on dual Doppler. It looks impressive, but a lot of this is still working into some dry air that we have in place. So it's falling from the sky, but struggling to make it to the ground. But eventually this morning, we will see rain move in first, and then a mix with and change over to snow late this afternoon and this evening. Right now, though, things are looking good here on the Wade's RV Weather Camera Network from Brookside looking back toward downtown. Our temperatures are down near freezing in Tulsa. We do have 20s to the north where the skies are clear, allowing those temperatures to drop off just a bit more. 36 degrees right now in McAllister. But again, kids heading out to the bus stop this morning, no issues. I think for the bus ride home, mostly just wet conditions as we get a little bit of snow to mix in. But by late afternoon, especially by later this evening, we'll see much more of a change over to all snow, and we'll break down how much snow may fall once we get into tomorrow morning in just about another 15 minutes.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. This winter weather is something agencies all across our state are gearing up for, working to make sure that roads are safe for those who do need to get out. 2 News Oklahoma's Amanda Slee spoke with the city of Tulsa about what they are keeping a close eye on. Amanda, good morning.
Good morning, Justin. As Michael Sager discussed, much of northeast Oklahoma is under a winter weather warning. With the forecasted rain and snow, the city of Tulsa is monitoring the timeline of today's weather event.
Just that transition time between rain and snow, and then of course the temperatures. That's going to regulate a lot, kind of what actually stays on the ground. Oftentimes it accumulates on the bridges and overpasses and the grassy surfaces first.
Now you might be wondering why bridges and overpasses freeze first. It's because there's no ground underneath, which means the entire structure can be surrounded by cold air. If you do drive on one of these in this weather, it's advised you slow down before getting to the bridge, as changing speed on ice is dangerous. Carson Colvin with the city of Tulsa says those spots will be where their crews address first, since they can cause major issues if not treated. This event isn't going to impact the morning commute. So it's important drivers understand that they will have a very different condition going home from work than they did driving in. In the next half hour, Oklahoma Highway Patrol offers advice to drivers who have to go out in this possibly messy commute later today. Amanda Slee, 2 News Oklahoma.
All right, Amanda, thank you very much. We have team coverage all day, and you can follow along on air, online, or with the free 2 News app. Just search 2 News Oklahoma in your app store. It is 6:02 and news developing right now in Project Safe Schools. Classes will go on as scheduled at Jenks East Intermediate today after the district's police department determined a threat made by a student to be not credible. Corey Duke is live outside the school this morning. Corey.
Well, Justin, parents reached out to us Monday night here in the Jenks district. This was after they received an automated call from the district. And so we reached out to officials, and a spokesperson with the school tells us that a Jenks East Intermediate student sent a photo of a gun to a group chat. That was also along with a threatening message. So the spokesperson told us, quote, the threat was quickly determined to be not credible by the JPS Police Department. The student does not have access to guns in the home, adding that the district says it has a zero tolerance policy for threats, and students who make them will be disciplined according to district policy. Now, they didn't go into detail what that discipline was, but they said this happens even if the threat is not credible. But as you can imagine, parents who did receive that phone call were very probably, upset about what was going on, which is why they did reach out to us. But we do want to inform them that the student who did make that threat will not be in school today. Justin.
All right, Corey, thank you very much. It is 6:04 right now. We do want to take a close look at your time saver traffic. Michael Sager has more on what we are watching out there. Michael, what's going on?
Yeah, things have been looking pretty good for us so far this morning as we look at those travel times. Sky took to downtown about 20 minutes. Sapulpa to downtown 16 minutes. Tulsa Hills to downtown running about 8 minutes. You can see here looking down on Highway 169, everything's looking good so far this morning. Again, we're not dealing with any precipitation just yet. That holds off until later this morning and into the afternoon. Broken Arrow from Lynn Lane to downtown about 13 minutes. Sand Springs to downtown 6 minutes. Okmulgee to downtown right about 41 minutes.
All right, Michael, thank you. 3 burglaries in less than 3 months. We'll hear from one Tulsa business owner who says they feel helpless after being hit over the weekend. Plus, meteorite hunters are searching the area after a meteor lights up the skies over Oklahoma last Friday morning. The area they are searching and what they found so far coming up. And at least 7 people killed in California's second mass shooting in 3 days. What officials are saying about the suspect. We have that in the next half hour. Good morning. 2 News has learned that Safari Joe's H2O water park has been sold. It is now under new ownership. We are working to gather more information. Expect to know more about the future plans for the site later this afternoon. Of course, we'll pass that on to you. A Tulsa candy shop, though, has been targeted again. 3 burglaries in less than 3 months. The latest was on Saturday. The owner of Yum Eats and Sweets off 81st and Harvard told 2 News the crime is really taking a toll on her small business.
We absorb all the cost. I mean, the insurance company pays for part of it, but there's still deductibles and stuff that they don't pay for. And the loss of business from when we do have to close to clean up like today, and I don't know, it's just pretty hopeless feeling.
Lieutenant Tim Means with the Tulsa Police Department's burglary unit says detectives believe it is the same person in all 3 burglaries, and the suspect could be responsible for similar crimes around town. DPD says if you know anything that might help, call Crime Stoppers. Coming up, a 26-year-old is being celebrated as a hero after this video comes out of him wrestling a gun from the Monterey Park shooter in California. We have more of this amazing video in just 3 minutes. And they come from everywhere. Whenever a meteor is seen over the night sky, we'll catch up with a couple of meteor hunters after Friday morning's early light show. That's just ahead.
And we've got temperatures starting out this morning in the low to mid 30s across the metro. Winter storm warnings are in effect for snow that will be moving in later on today. We're going to break it all down for you, how much may fall in just about 5 more minutes.
Welcome back. The time right now is 6:13. You're taking a live look at Green Country as we are tracking some winter weather. Meteorologist Michael Sager is going to have your forecast here in a little bit, but first let's get a check of your top stories from around the world. Today, a Georgia Superior Court judge could rule to make a grand jury report public. That grand jury handed over its findings to Georgia prosecutors investigating former President Donald Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election. Prosecutors have not announced any charges. The judge could order all or part of the report to be made public. Today marks 11 months since Russia invaded Ukraine. Poland has asked Germany if it can send German-made tanks to Ukraine. Poland doesn't need Germany's approval to send them to a non-NATO country. Germany's defense minister says a decision would be made quickly. Investigators will try to determine a motive behind 2 connected shootings in Northern California. The sheriff of San Mateo County says 7 people died. Another was wounded after a 67-year-old man opened fire at 2 nurseries in Half Moon Bay. That suspect, as you see there, was arrested. And astounding surveillance video has been released from the Monterey Park shooting, which shows a man risking his life to disarm the shooter. Take a look here. 26-year-old Brandon Say has been celebrated as a hero for disarming the Monterey Park shooter. This is at a dance hall. As seen in the surveillance video, Say wrestles the gun away, potentially saving lives at a second dance hall. This was just minutes after the suspect killed 11 people, wounded at least 9 more at the first sight. This footage obtained by NBC News captured the men tussling in what appears to be an empty lobby. This is inside the dance hall. A shoving match happens. Say manages to take that gun away from the suspect. That entire ordeal lasted about 4 minutes, but saved multiple lives. All right, it's now 6:15 now. In other news, you may remember that meteor that shot across the Oklahoma sky early Friday morning, and we showed you multiple surveillance videos that capture the breathtaking moments. Well, 2 News Oklahoma met up with meteor hunters searching for them. They travel all across the country looking for fragments of a meteor, and when they saw this, heard about the Oklahoma meteor, they traveled to Muskogee to start that search. We're told, based on the video evidence, radar information, before it broke apart in the atmosphere, it is believed that meteor could have ranged in size from just a basketball all the way up to a grocery shopping cart.
When you crack a meteorite open, you look at it inside, it's like literally going back to the very origins of our solar system. A lot of them will be broken off a little bit that you can see the inside, which will be a gray cement color. A magnet will stick to them.
And we're told it is possible there could be hundreds of meteorites in Muskogee and the surrounding area. That is why they will continue their search. And I know meteorologist Michael Sager is very interested in all that, but today we are focusing on that winter weather alert. Michael, we are planning for some big stuff.
Yeah, we've got some snow that will be moving in eventually, but we will start out as rain before we see the change over to snow, and starting out quiet this morning, so no problems at all as they're heading out for the morning drive. We'll notice the rain, though, moving in by lunchtime, and you'll see our temperatures above freezing as the temperatures steadily drop as we go through the afternoon. We may start to see some snow mixing in and possibly a change over to all snow, maybe as soon as by the drive home, but definitely by later on this evening with a northeast breeze at about 5 to 15 miles per hour. And then that snow will continue through the evening and then start to taper off as we go into tomorrow morning. But if you're stepping outside this morning, it's not too bad. We've got some clouds out there, as we can see here from Grand Lake at Shangri-La Resort, but no precipitation here. If you do look, though, at dual Doppler, we've got some echoes showing up on radar, but a lot of this, the leading edge of the precipitation, is not reaching the ground, but it is reaching the ground farther to the west, and you can start to see the snow here, western Oklahoma, and as you head here into the Texas Panhandle as well. And this is what's going to be tracking over us as we go through the day today and into tonight. So let's break it down as we go through the morning hours. The rain starts to move on in, becoming scattered by lunchtime. So umbrellas for your lunch plans. Now, as the temperatures start to drop off a little bit more through the afternoon, we are allowed to cool the column of air through the atmosphere, and some of that snow that'll be up above us will start to make it to the ground. So we'll become all snow here, especially south of I-44, possibly becoming all snow by late afternoon in the drive home in Tulsa. It's going to be very close, but at least a rain-snow mixture. And then as we continue through the evening hours, everybody goes over to all snow. Now, the forecast is very tricky as far as the snowfall forecast because the temperatures will be above freezing for a lot of us through this entire event, and we've got warm ground temperatures. So this is what may actually lay on the ground, but we'll probably actually see totals that would be higher than this otherwise. But we're going to go about 3 to 6 inches for areas south of I-44. Tulsa, we're going to go about 2 to 4. Maybe southeastern parts of the metro have a little higher chance to pick up a little bit more. And then as you go to the north and west, lighter amounts. Now, as far as travel problems, I do think that we will have some issues as the snow comes down late this afternoon and this evening. But because of the warm ground, I don't think we'll have any issues. In fact, by tomorrow morning, most of the roads are just going to be wet. But we'll need the coats tomorrow. Temperatures near 40 degrees for the high, but the snow will be out of here. Could see 50s back by the time we go into Friday and as we open up the weekend. Let's get a look at traffic this morning, and as you are heading out the door, everything has been running nice and smooth. We'll zoom in just a little bit closer here, get a look at those southbound routes here out of Skytook, Collinsville, and Owasso. Everything running smooth here, Highway 75 and Highway 169. Travel times, Owasso to downtown, about 14 minutes. Claremore to downtown, 27 minutes. Glenpool to downtown, right about 16 minutes.
All right, Michael, much appreciated. Volunteers of America has been helping Oklahomans for 30 years. How it's celebrating this milestone coming up at 6:17. And President Joe Biden wants to talk to congressional Democrats about the debt ceiling, and he wants to talk to them today. A preview is coming up in the next half hour. Happening today, Volunteers of America celebrating 30 years of service for Oklahomans with an open house this evening. VOA works to provide housing and services to those that are in need, including veterans, seniors, those that are disabled or experiencing homelessness. The open house will be a chance to celebrate everyone involved in the mission, from donors to staff, even those who are helped.
We are going to be celebrating not only these amazing people who are able to turn their lives around with a little bit of assistance from us, but we're also going to be celebrating those incredible caregivers.
The event is today from 3 to 6 at the headquarters on the northwest corner of 61st and Bingo. A new doctor's office will soon call Greenwood Rising home. Right now, Morton Comprehensive Health is the main healthcare provider that services both Greenwood and North Tulsa. Juneau Medical, a New York-based primary care physicians clinic, will be going into the Greenwood Rising building. Based in Harlem, New York, Juneau Medical prides itself on providing the best care possible, they say, with inclusivity and understanding while addressing racial inequalities in healthcare. And now that care is coming to Tulsa. Tulsa artist Gerald Payne says that this will help so many that need it.
I think it's a good idea. I think it'll help as a whole, not only with North Tulsans and with the African American community, but as Tulsa as a whole.
And he says that he hopes this move will spark new life into the district and bring in more people to the historic neighborhood. The Greenwood Rising building is slated to be a mixed-use space that will have restaurants and shopping. Juneau Medical will be open and operational by the summer. Well, from preparing your vehicle for this weather to what the state and local governments are doing ahead of the storm that's coming up in 3 minutes. And parents in the Jenks Public Schools District concerned after a student sends a picture of a gun with a threatening message. We have the newest details with a live report coming up.
And here's what it looks like outside this morning. If I can get the camera up there, there it goes. You can see we've got a few clouds out there, but we are all dry at the moment. We'll break down when snow will be moving in here in about 3 more minutes.
Tracking the storm this morning on 2 News Oklahoma Today, we're tracking a winter storm that could drop heavy snow on parts of green country.
And that snow moving in from the west is going to start out as rain this morning, when we'll see that change over to snow as the day goes on.
And from when the heaviest amounts will fall to the mess it can make of our roads and bridges.
Slow down, create more following distances, things like that. Because really, the issue is being able to bring your vehicle to a safe stop, no matter what's happening in the roadway.
We have team coverage on what you need to know to be prepared, not scared.
We're also live in Jenks this morning covering developing news. Parents at Jenks Public Schools are asking for answers.
Jenks Public Schools confirming a Jenks East Intermediate student sent a picture of a photo with a gun to a group chat and also a threatening message. Coming up, I'll explain the quick action taken by the district's police department, how police got involved, and what school will look like here today. 2 News Oklahoma Today starts now.
You're watching 2 News Oklahoma Today.
And good morning. Thank you so much for waking up with 2. I'm Justin Fisher alongside meteorologist Michael Sager. We'll get to Corey Duke's report just here in a little bit, but first we got to focus on that weather forecast, Michael.
Yeah, a lot of excitement out there today, I'm sure.
that.
Everybody's wanting to know what is going to happen. Well, so far, as we expected this morning, starting out very quiet, just waiting for the rain to move on in. But that rain will eventually change over to snow for a lot of us. May take until this evening for some of us before that happens. So I know we'll be probably impatiently waiting for this to happen as we go throughout the day. But we do have winter storm warnings in effect basically along and south of I-40, including the Tulsa Metro. As you go north and west where snowfall amounts will probably be a little bit less, that's where we have winter weather advisories in effect. Now we're already seeing, at least on dual Doppler, some of the precipitation trying to move in, but a lot of this struggling to reach the ground, at least the leading edge of it, because it's moving into some dry air that we still have in place here across northeast Oklahoma. But you go farther west, you get out to around Oklahoma City, especially west of there, we are seeing the rain and the snow starting to reach the ground. Here's what it looks like at the moment from Brookside, looking back toward downtown Tulsa. Wade's RV Weather Camera Network showing these great views out there this morning. And again, going in for the morning drive, not going to have any issues out there right now. We've got temperatures in the 20s to the north and right near freezing in Tulsa and mid-30s as you go farther to the south. Now for the drive, no problems at all this morning. You might get a stray sprinkle or two, maybe even a sleet pellet, but not going to have any issues. The rain does move in by lunchtime, and again, it will be rain to start. And as those temperatures hold into the mid-30s by late afternoon, for the drive home, we'll probably see a rain-snow mix, but there will be some spots that go to all snow by then. Exactly who goes to all snow by then is actually still somewhat of a question. It's just going to depend on where some of those heavier bands do line up. But where we do see all snow, that's where the travel could be a bit of a problem by the drive home. We'll break down how much snow may fall once we get through tonight and into tomorrow morning in just about 15 minutes.
And we do have team coverage this morning to help you be prepared, not scared. A live look right now at 51 and Sheridan. Things looking good at the moment. Local and state agencies, though, telling 2 News they do have crews on standby. They are ready for whatever happens. 2 News Oklahoma's Amanda Slee joining us in the studio. And Amanda, when that rain changes over to snow, things could get messy pretty quickly.
Justin, that's right. Green country roads could turn into, like Michael Sager, a slushy mess by this evening. Agencies like Oklahoma Highway Patrol and City of Bixby and Tulsa say they have crews on standby ready to take trucks out to treat the roads. However, even with salt spreaders and snowplows treating the roads, drivers still need to take certain precautions.
Slow down, create more following distances, things like that, because really the issue is being able to bring your vehicle to a safe stop no matter what's happening in the roadway.
Trooper Eric Foster also urges that you have ways to keep warm in your car if it does become immobile or you can't run it to stay warm. Also, if you come upon a salt truck or a snowplow driving, officials ask that you stay back and treat them like emergency vehicles. As for the specific road treatment plans, the city of Tulsa says they will be finalizing those this morning before the weather moves in. Amanda Slee, 2 News Oklahoma.
All right, Amanda, thank you very much. We are following some developing news right now in Project Safe Schools. Classes will go on as scheduled at Jenks East Intermediate today after the district's police department determined a student made a threat, but it is not credible, they say. Corey Duke is live outside the school this morning. Corey.
Justin, good morning. Jenks parents, they reached out to us Monday night. This was after they received an automated call from the district that was concerning that threat. So, of course, we reached out to officials, and a spokesperson tells us that a student at Jenks East Intermediate did make a threat by sending a photo of a gun to a group chat. A threatening message was attached to that as well. So the spokesperson does tell us, quote, the threat was quickly determined to be not credible by the JPS Police Department. The student does not have access to guns in the home, adding that the district says it has a zero tolerance policy for threats and students who make them will be disciplined according to the district, even if that threat is not credible. So district police moving very swiftly to act on this. The principal is notified, then police are notified, and they go out to make sure that this threat is not credible, all in an effort to keep students safe. Now, I do want to mention that that student who did make the threat, I'm told, will not be in school today. Justin.
All right, Corey, thank you very much. That's a story we'll continue to follow. Let's get over to Michael Sager for a look at your traffic as you do head out right now. But Michael, things might be different later.
Yeah, I do think things for the drive home will be wet for some of us, and maybe for some of us already seeing some snow by the drive home. Right now, though, things are looking good. This is a view here. This is from Glenpool and Sapulpa, looking back to the north toward downtown Tulsa. So if you're coming up the Turnpike, I-44, and eventually 244 to get into downtown, you're good. Right now, Highway 75 is looking fairly good as well. And travel times are certainly not dealing with any issues here. Wallace to downtown about 14 minutes, Claremore to downtown about 27 minutes, Glenpool to downtown will take you about 16 minutes.
All right, thank you so much. People are shopping at dollar stores for groceries, and the biggest reason they're spending less. Coming up, we have that at 6:41. A single vote in the AP Top 25 for ORU is a first in more than a decade. What that means for the Golden Eagles coming up in 3 minutes, but let's check out that play of the day. It is the Rockets' big man, Alperen Sengun, with the nice bounce pass there. Rockets end up winning 119-114 over the Timberwolves. Hey, good morning and welcome back. It is 6:38 and it is National News Literacy Week. Every year, 2 News and our parent company, EW Scripps, work to cut through the noise. So this morning, we're bringing you Behind the Curtain. Scripps CEO Adam Simpson discusses transparency and why it is so important for us, KGRH, to be as transparent as possible with you, our viewers.
There should be no secrets, right? I mean, we're all about shining light, and we shouldn't be excused from that demand. So from my perspective, why we choose the stories that we choose, how we make the decisions to cover certain topics, where what language we use, all of those things should be subject to conversation. And I think we can rebuild trust when we're more transparent in that relationship with our consumers.
Yeah, you can't have a lighthouse logo and try to keep things close to the vest.
Doesn't work. Doesn't work.
From TikTok and Facebook to newspapers, TV, we are looking at where you find your news and helping you find credible sources during News Literacy Week. You can find those stories on air and on KGRH.com. It is 6:39, and for the first time in more than a decade, ORU Hoops receiving a vote in the AP Top 25. The Golden Eagles 8-0 in Summit League play and have won 14 of their last 15 with a single vote. That single vote, ORU, is ranked number 42 in the country. That's pretty cool, right? Here's something that's maybe not so cool. Spotify, the latest tech company that is going to be laying people off. Yeah, the music streaming giant announced it would cut 6% of its workforce, which is just about 600 people. In a company blog, Spotify CEO said that he was too ambitious in investing ahead of revenue growth. It follows last week's announcements of losses at Microsoft and Alphabet. Well, Americans are getting a big share of their groceries at dollar stores now. Researchers from Tufts University analyzed how Americans used dollar stores to access food from 2008 to 2020. They found America's lowest income earners have become increasingly dependent on dollar stores, making them the fastest growing food retailers in the country. The growth doubled in rural areas over the past decade. Well, more ICU beds are open in Broken Arrow starting today. We'll take you inside in 5 minutes. And Discovery Lab has been up and running in Tulsa in their new location for a year now. How they are celebrating and what you can win if you attend coming up.
We are dry right now in Green Country, but when the rain moves in and then the snow eventually starts coming up here in just about 5 minutes.
Welcome back. The time right now is 6:43. Glad to have you with us, taking a live look outside. And meteorologist Michael Sager is going to have quite the weather forecast for you coming up in a couple minutes. But first, let's check out your top stories from around the world today Investigators will try to figure out a motive behind two connected shootings in Northern California. The sheriff of San Mateo County says 7 people died, another was wounded. That is after a 67-year-old man opened fire at 2 nurseries in Half Moon Bay. The suspect was arrested. Today, President Joe Biden will meet with Democratic congressional leaders at the White House. They're expected to talk about the partisan divide in the debt ceiling negotiations. The country hit its debt limit last week, forcing the Treasury Department to take what they call extraordinary measures to avoid default. Today, the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists publishes its new doomsday clock. It's an annual announcement supposed to suggest how close we are to the end of the world. Last year, the clock stood at 100 seconds to midnight, but that was before Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Well, there is some good happening in the world, right? Happening today in Tulsa. Discovery Lab will celebrate its 1-year anniversary at their new location, 31st and Riverside. The museum will be giving away a free birthday party package for the 2023 year. That is valued at $450. Discovery Lab has been around since 2007, initially known for being a museum without walls. At its first location in Owen Park, now it's got a world-class facility, a gathering place, serving more than 300,000 visitors a year. Well, greater access to health care begins in Broken Arrow today. Ascension St. John Broken Arrow is anticipating its first patient to the new ICU floor. The grand opening and blessing of the unit began on Monday morning. It is an $8 million investment estimated to serve 1,500 patients a year. Matthew Adams, the president of the hospital, showed Corey around the new unit and also told her the need to increase access to the area, that it was great, especially as the city of Broken Arrow is growing.
Unfortunately, with COVID, it kind of shined even brighter light on it, saying, hey, you know, there is a lack of ICU beds. It's not a good thing that a pandemic had to kind of, you know, drive that point home, but it really did say, hey, this is the right thing, you know, for us to do, not only for this community in Broken Arrow, but for people that are trying to find beds that are coming from other smaller towns in Oklahoma.
And he says this was a strategic move for the hospital with the added unit in BA, as well as 18 more beds being added in Owasso within the next 2 weeks or so. The new floor consists of 4 ICU beds, 14 progressive care beds, and gives immediate level care to patients in the region who otherwise would be transferred to other locations. The unit also adds 40 new jobs, the hospital hoping to increase that to 50 in the future. Well, with the winter weather expected today in Green Country, AAA Oklahoma just wants to remind everybody, be prepared. Please make sure your car's charging and starting system is fully functional. Give it a little bit of a test. Your battery should also be checked out. Maybe it's a little bit older. You never know. Want to make sure it is strong enough for the cold weather. And as we all know, cars don't do so well in the cold weather sometimes. Take a look at those tires, the tread depth. Maybe it's uneven wearing, cupping. Get that taken care of as soon as you can. Make sure those fluids are good. This includes the engine coolant, transmission fluid, brake fluid. If you get your tires checked, they might take care of it for you. They also advise you to change your driving behavior. It's a big one. Drive slower. Plenty of room. Keep that in mind. Just think ahead. Make sure you move over for law enforcement or any car on the side of the road. If it has flashing lights on it, you need to move over or slow down if you can't move over. And that kind of does transition us into why we're talking about that. And that's because the forecast this evening is a little bit not so good.
Yeah, we've got starting out as rain basically as we go through the morning hours, and then eventually we're going to change over to snow. And how quickly we change over to snow will really determine how much we get by the time this is all said and done. But a very tricky forecast. We do have, though, winter storm warnings in effect basically along and south of I-44. And then as you go north of I-44, that's where we've got winter weather advisories in effect, where the snowfall amounts will probably be a little bit less. But very interesting forecast, to say the least. But we are going to see some accumulating snow move in, and you can already start to see that here across western Oklahoma and out into the Texas Panhandle. The leading edge of some of this precipitation, as it does move into northeast Oklahoma, is struggling to reach the ground because we've still got some dry air in place here where we are. But through time this morning, we're going to see some rain eventually move in, and then we will start to transition to snow. Some of us as early as later this afternoon, but it may take until later this evening for some of us to make that changeover. But again, eventually we are going to see that changeover with accumulation likely. And as I mentioned, a tricky snow forecast with temperatures possibly even staying above freezing as the snow falls. And with warm ground temperatures, that will really help as far as the road conditions. But initially, as the snow comes down at such a heavy rate, we will notice the roads becoming slushy and snow covered. But once the snow tapers off, I imagine travel conditions and road conditions will improve greatly during the overnight hours and into tomorrow morning. So as of now, don't anticipate major travel problems for tomorrow morning. But when we see that snow change over late this afternoon and especially this evening, that's probably when we will have some travel problems across the region as that snow begins to come down. It'll likely be a very heavy and wet snow. Here are the views outside right now. Look at this view here from Shangri-La Resort, Grand Lake. We still got some clearing here, but the clouds moving in, those clouds will lower and thicken up. We're going to get a beautiful sunrise here at Grand Lake. How about that? But as we go through the morning hours, the clouds will move on in. Our temperature right now at 32 degrees, and eventually the rain moves in as we go through the morning as well. So by lunchtime, temperatures mid-30s. We start to see some of that rain moving in. Most of us in Green Country will be still rain as we go through midday. We'll start to see that snow, though, inching a little closer to us. And then as we continue into the afternoon, depending on where the heavier bands line up, that's who's going to see the change over to snow this afternoon. And I think the highest chances of seeing that will be somewhere near or south of I-44. So what will happen is you get a lot of heavy precipitation, snow aloft, and because it's snowing so heavily, that will make it down to ground level with cooler temperatures, whereas if you have a lighter precipitation, it'll have a better chance to melt as it moves into the warmer air near the ground. So that's why we'll see some areas change over to all snow by this afternoon, but not everybody. It's going to depend on where the heaviest precipitation is, and then as we continue through the evening hours, eventually we will go over to all snow, but those temperatures could actually still stay slightly above average, or slightly above freezing, I should say, and then just clouds tomorrow and cool temperatures with a gusty northwest wind, 30s to near 40 degrees tomorrow afternoon. As far as snowfall amounts, right now thinking south of I-44 has the higher chance of about 3 to 6 inches of snow, 2 to 4 inches probably across the metro, although southeastern parts of the metro may get just a little bit more than that, 1 to 3 inches of snow for those of you farther to the north and to the west. But there could be some pockets in some of the higher terrain here, getting to the mountains of southeast Oklahoma, that could pick up 5 to 8 inches of snow, and that'll be the case across northwest Arkansas as well. And you get in some of the mountains here of Arkansas, there may be somebody 10 to 12 inches of snow, but most of us here will be between about 2 to 6 inches of snow if you want to look at the big picture. As we go toward the end of the week, we'll see temperatures up to about the mid-50s on Friday and Saturday, but another cold front will cool us off on Sunday, and as that front moves in, maybe a couple showers, maybe a light wintry mix Sunday morning. We'll keep an eye on that going into the weekend. And let's get a look at traffic this morning as you are heading out. Things have been running nice and smooth. We'll get a closer look here right over South Tulsa, Highway 169. You can see everything moving nicely. Travel times look like this. Broken Arrow from Lynn Lane to downtown, 14 minutes. Sand Springs to downtown, 6 minutes. Okmulgee to downtown, right about 42 minutes.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. Let's get to your news to go. A spokesperson confirming a Jenks East Intermediate student sent a photo of a gun to a group chat along with a threatening message. JPS police confirming the student's threat was not credible. The student will be disciplined according to school policy, and that student will not be in attendance today. Folks on the roads later today could experience that snowy drive Michael's talking about. Meanwhile, the entire state getting ready for the snow. Of course, with the incoming weather, our newsroom will be monitoring any cancellations or delays, so keep it tuned to 2 News Oklahoma or download our app. Stay connected with us. We are constantly monitoring that for you. A local sweet shop here in Tulsa burglarized for the 3rd time in less than 3 months. Yum Eats and Sweets has been hit along with several other businesses in the city. TPD believes it is all from the same suspect. If you have any information about the crimes, you are urged to call Crime Stoppers. Let's talk. James Webb Telescope keeps putting out amazing photos of deep space. More of this image from 630 light years away coming up on the other side of the break.
Coming up on Today, are you in the market for a new home? With high prices and interest rates, a fixer-upper could be your best bet. But there's still a lot to consider before you take that plunge. Vicki Wynn will join us with some expert advice later this morning on Today.
Hey, good morning and welcome back. Before we go, we have an amazing new image from the James Webb Space Telescope to share. It is inside a cloud, 630 light years away. The journal Nature Astronomy published a study, including the image yesterday. They shared this, but these clouds are interstellar groupings of gas and dust where hydrogen, carbon monoxide molecules can form dense clumps within these clouds, can then collapse to form young stars called protostars. Amazing to see those images. Let's get down here to Earth, if you will. Chinese researchers believe the Earth's inner core may have reversed its rotation. The researchers analyzed seismic waves created by earthquakes as they passed through the planet along similar paths since the 60s. They found the inner core's rotation stopped between 2009 and 2020, may have even reversed direction. The researchers do believe such a reversal generally takes place every 7 decades, give or take. One expert not involved in that study notes that some scientists theorize the inner core changes its rotation at shorter intervals. So we shared that somewhat shocking news maybe to some of you about, wait, what? It stopped or reversed? They say it does happen, so it's all good. Hopefully that's not causing any of our winter weather, though.
Yeah, I think
not going to correlate them.
Yeah, and definitely no correlation there, but we are tracking that chance for wintry weather as we go through the day today. Probably more so for a lot of us holding off until later this afternoon, or if not even holding off until this evening. But winter storm warnings in effect along and south of I-44, winter weather advisories to the north. Most of this precipitation is still out to our west. We've still got some dry air in place over northeast Oklahoma, so you can see we are dry, but we are starting to see some of the rain move into Oklahoma City and snow into western Oklahoma and out into the Texas Panhandle. This will take time, and you'll be patiently waiting for the snow to move in, but it's going to take a little time. Again, starting out as rain, but once the snow does change over, for some of us as early as late afternoon, and it will, again, maybe hold off until later this evening for the rest of us, I do think by the time we get into tonight and into tomorrow morning, 3 to 6 inches of snow probably along and south of I-44, maybe 2 to 4 inches in the metro. Could even have some locally higher amounts, especially southeastern portions of the metro, and then lighter amounts as you go farther to the north and to the west. But very tricky because the temperatures are going to be above freezing. We've got warm ground temperatures. If we were about 2 degrees colder, this would probably be a double-digit.
Blows my mind.
Yeah, this would probably be about a double-digit snowfall for us. But the fact that the temperatures are so warm and the ground's so warm, just really difficult to see how much is actually going to lay on the ground, and measure. So would be a lot more if we were just a little bit colder.
I got to ask you kind of a question that I know we don't have too much time to dig into, but we normally see the different colors of snow. But real quick, the Poto and Stigler, you have those lines of different.
Yes, that is the higher terrain, southeast Oklahoma. So in some of those higher mountaintops, we'll probably get a little bit more snow.
All right, thanks for joining us. We'll see you later.